Hey everyone, I'm Sam Haymart with Test Driven TV. Boy, have I got a treat for you for our first review of the year. For 2026, this is the Lucid Air Touring. And maybe it's been a treat for me because I've just spent a week with this car, learning all of its ins and outs, really getting a feel for it. So we're going to show it to you inside and out. We're going to take it for a drive, and then I'm going to tell you what I really think. All right, everybody, let's have a good look at the car that Lucid has given us. This is the 2026 Lucid Air Touring. Touring trim grade being sort of in the middle, above the Pure, which is the base model, and two steps down from the top, which is Sapphire. And as tested, we're at $102,000 and some change. This particular trim grade starts out at $79,900. This has quite a few options on it, and we'll be talking about that as we do our walk around and our test drive today. The first thing I'd point out is the optional paint. Fathom Blue Metallic. Look at that in the sun. Is that not amazing? It should be. It's an expensive option. At nighttime, under the lights in a parking lot, it just glows in different colors. Here in the sun right now in our shot, absolutely gorgeous. Looking at the styling overall of the Lucid Air, it might seem a rather ordinary shape. It might seem an ordinary look, but as you get up close, you really start to see a level of detail here that you're not going to expect on your average everyday sedan. And looking right up front, we've got a beautiful signature light bar that goes all the way across, Lucid across the front, LED lighting, of course, signature light, and then headlights. And the rest of the design is very futuristic. This has an abnormally low coefficient of drag, very aerodynamic, 0.197 for a CD, very good. And the hood line, look at how that is designed. This is a clamshell hood that opens up as one large piece. It doesn't have the standard cut across the top of the hood like most cars. It's elegant, I would say. And another thing that I really like about the way they've designed this car is the charging port is right up front. My favorite location for a charging port on an EV. I'm not a backer-inner. I don't like backing in to a charging space or backing into my garage so that I can plug in and charge. I'm a puller-inner. I like pulling straight into a space, plugging in. It's just a lot easier that way for me. So I'm always excited when I see that they've done that. Optional on this car also are these 20-inch wheels, a nice aero design, very understated look, but they look expensive, and they are. Also, the Stealth Appearance Package, which gives everything that blacked out look. These beautiful mirrors with the metallic black paint, the black trim all the way around. And just with this color, it's a nice, handsome look that really speaks to its price tag. This almost has a mid-century 50s sort of roof line like you might see on one of those big 50s over-the-top boats, but they've done it in a modern, understated way. And I'm really specifically talking about how this roof line comes down and that D-pillar, the way it tapers down, and you've got the beautiful Lucid Air detail there, the rear window that wraps around all the way. Something about that just strikes me every time I look at it. It looks upscale, it looks artistic, and it looks modern. But more important than that, with the silhouette being quite common out there in the automotive space, the design detail makes it its own. And let's look at that trunk lid, a built-in spoiler lip, LED lighting all the way across, very nicely detailed. But that entire rear section of the car opens up as a clamshell for the trunk. The way the lines cut down, everything just looks right. And then when it opens up, it just gives you a completely different way of getting in and out of that trunk. You don't have to lift over to push in. You can just slide things in there. And I got to do a little bit of using this trunk this week, as we'll discuss here in a moment. But stepping back and looking at the entire view, this is a car that honestly, from across the parking lot, might look like an average, everyday, understated sedan. But when you get up close and really look at the detail, you see where the money's been spent. The first thing that really came to me as I sat behind the wheel is the clean sheet approach of the interior design, very much like people who first sat behind the wheel of a Tesla experienced, because this is a company that this is their first car they ever decided to build. This is their first shot at let's build a car. What that brings to the table is a clean design approach. It brings not a lot of baggage where you get a legacy car maker and they've got the same switches, the same layout, the same everything, only now it's an EV. Here we've got a completely different perspective when it comes to how we're going to put the car together, how we're going to design the technology and everything else. I find that it's got a very mid-century clean set of lines. It's very classy. It's very upscale. The material quality is top notch. The technology in here is really impressive, and we would expect that for this price range. The cockpit is comprised of a 34-inch wide single-piece instrument cluster digital screen set. They do have individual screens built in there, but as a design, it's one continuous piece, and it's a nice, tasteful looking floating panel. It's not a big square like Mercedes gave us for some time. It's got some sculpting in its overall silhouette, and they put some thought and design. They spent some money here quite clearly. Down on the center console is another screen which opens if you want to get behind it and put some storage items back there, but a lot of the major controls are down here on this center screen on the console. The infotainment controls up here and ahead of the driver, as you'd expect, all of the driving instrumentation. And over on the left is a small screen that has other controls for the headlights and a few other things. As I sit here, this is quite comfortable. I was able to get very comfortable in these seats. These have the optional multi-way massaging seats, quite a big option, as is everything in this car. They are charging you for the options, but these seats have a heating and cooling feature, they have a massaging feature, and they're infinitely adjustable, not only by the switches on the side of the seat, but also on the screen in the center. You can do a lot of your adjustments there. They are upholstered in a material that Lucid calls Mojave Pure Luxe, which is vinyl. It is a synthetic leather. I kind of expect leather at $100,000, I'm going to be honest with you, but at least this material is quite comfortable. It looks like leather. It does not feel plasticky. And in my week with this car, both in cool and warm weather, I did not find them to be sticky or sweaty or anything like that. They're just comfortable seats. I was really able to get them down low and in a position that really works for the low profile of this car. And that is something that really needs to be talked about, because this roof is really low. The first time I got in this car, I hit my head hard on the top of this roof frame because I wasn't expecting this low of a car. It's very uncommon in today's market, and it smartened me up really quick. So something to just note. This also has the upgraded audio system, which is quite a spend up, but it sounds absolutely great. And this infotainment system does, of course, have wireless Apple CarPlay. It has all the technological whiz-bang stuff that we could want at this price range. I'm not going to dive into all of that. What I will say is that the screen size is a little bit small if you're used to some of the big screens in other cars. In the case of my Apple CarPlay, for instance, I'm dealing with a smaller screen than I'm used to. That's just one little thing, but beyond that, it's well laid out, it's colorful, the graphics are good. They've done a good job here on this overall design. The rest of the center console is very utilitarian and very usable. Big cup holders here in the front, tall cups will fit. There is a location down below here with a wireless charger, although I cannot use it because my case won't let it fit in there, but a lot of space for throwing your doodads, your phones, whatever. Inside here, more storage inside the console, although it's not a big, huge box. It's a little bit smaller, but there is space down there. And it's just comfortable the way this is designed with the armrests, and this armrest is just in the right place depending on where you get your seat. It's been a nice place to spend a week behind the wheel. The rear passenger compartment is really a lot larger than you would think it is for the size of this car. Look at the legroom that I've got back here. These seats I have adjusted for my height, which is about 5'8" with my loafers on. I have about a foot ahead of my knees before these chairs are going to touch them. So there's a lot of space. The seating height is a lot higher than I would have expected in this low silhouette sedan. It's just quite surprising that with all of the battery size and power that this vehicle has, that they have managed to give us a lot of floor space here. It's fully flat, as you can see. Window shades back here. There is a window shade for the rear window. I have it down right now, but at the rear of the console with the option package this has, there's also a screen which allows you to control the heated seats, that shade that I talked about, and the climate control back here. There is a storage location back here as well. There are USB ports on the back. There are vents back here for the HVAC. You'd expect that at this price. You can also see vents on the floor for the heating. So they've really done a good job here designing this interior and packaging this car. That's really something that hits me as I sit in the back seat. Given as low as this car is, I still have almost 4 inches of headroom above my head. These seats, of course, do fold down in a 60-40 split. I use them this week in that way. My husband and I went to IKEA because we just moved into a new home, had to buy some stuff, and we were able to use this vehicle, even in its luxury sedan realm, as a pickup truck a little bit. But they folded down quite easily, and the trunk space, as you can see, is actually quite impressive. It is a higher floor, but look at all the space in there. And for Christmas dinner, I picked up some catering, as you can see there in the picture, and that box just fit in the trunk, but there was just a lot of space to deal with. Underneath that floor, not a spare here. That's pretty common in this particular class, but there's a lot of storage underneath that floor as well, as you can see. All right, my friends, I think we're finally ready to take a drive. And like a number of EVs that I have tested recently, this has that program where when you get near it, you get in it with the key fob or with other devices that you've set up with it. It's just powered on. There's no power button to turn on or turn off. It takes getting used to if you're not used to it, but it's kind of nice to just be able to put it in park and walk away and know that it's going to be okay. So taking a drive, let's talk about what's powering this, because that's a pretty substantial topic in our experience here today. This has all-wheel drive, 2 motors, 1 front, 1 rear. And in the Touring trim grade, this has 620 horsepower, 885 pound-feet of torque. That is a lot, even in a car that weighs 5,000 pounds, such as this. The power-to-weight ratio is astronomical. And while that sounds like a lot, you can go up to 800 plus horsepower or 1,200 plus horsepower in the next trim grades up. This is not the top of the line when it comes to horsepower, but I digress. This is still a lot, and if you're not used to it, it can be quite jarring. But the range on this, with its 92 kilowatt hour battery, still pretty good, even with all this horsepower, 377 miles. That is good. That is a lot more than you might expect with this level of horsepower. With a lot of other EVs that I've tested, when you get into this horsepower range, you do see a range that's a lot less in terms of how many miles you can actually take the car. So they've worked some magic in the overall scheme of things. And so one of the questions that I always like to ask, of course, is how does it go? Now, we're not going to be able to go completely crazy here because we are in town, but we're going to get a little sample of what it feels like to hit the power pedal. Woo! Oh, goodness. And 60. And I got to stop doing that because I don't want to break the law any more than I already probably just did. So obviously power is instantaneous. There's 3 drive modes down here: smooth, swift, and sprint. Sprint just unlocks the floodgates, gives you all the power you could ever need, but just sprinting around town, woo! And it's so quiet, it's so smooth, and I'm already double digiting here in ways that I really ought not be doing. But the power delivery is very good, it's very direct. And the sound that this thing makes, a lot of electric cars, especially from legacy automakers, like to regale you with these fake sounds, which is cute, I get it. But most of what we're hearing today is just the raw, pure motor sound of this car, and it's not bad. It's not over the top. It sounds like what you'd expect. And even in the higher modes, it just has a nice overall personality to it. So I commend Lucid for keeping it real in a lot of ways, even though there is probably a good level of engineering and maybe some dial-in with that. They've done a good job with it in a way that just makes it nice. So according to Lucid, 0 to 60 is 3.4 seconds, and I believe that. That's about what it feels like. So power is good. Power delivery is good, and the drivetrain is just well done. Now, when it comes to range, 377 miles, that works out to 4.4 miles per kilowatt hour, which is on the high side of what we expect out there in the market. Now, in my week with it, I have been dipping into the power quite a bit, so I'm probably, to the best of my estimation, seeing somewhere closer to 3 miles per kilowatt hour, which is on the medium to low side of efficiency when it comes to EVs, but I have been dipping into the power every chance I get because it's fun. Why not? And it's almost, you know, there's no victim in it, really. That's the beauty of electric cars. You can just go crazy with the power and you're not polluting the earth in a way that you would with a big supercharged gas V8. The thing that most impresses me about this car, beyond the powertrain and how well sorted and engineered it is, how well it works, is the chassis. Now this has a double wishbone front suspension, a multi-link rear suspension, aluminum intensive, they point out, which is good. That means a lot less unsprung weight. But it has adaptive dampers to go along with its standard coil springs. And why that's important is because when we have a 5,000-pound electric car, most car companies put super stiff springs in these cars so that it can handle the weight. And then they come to some compromise with the shock valving, the dampers, and then the thing rides like a truck because it has to carry the weight around. But what they've done here, this is a car that weighs like a truck, but it rides like a luxury sedan. And that is all about the suspension tuning. It's all about the engineering. It's all about the adaptive dampers that can allow this to be supple. It can allow the suspension to be soft over bumps and road irregularities and allow it to be instantly stiff when it needs to be when you mash the power pedal and start turning corners at speed or hitting the brakes or doing other maneuvers that require the suspension to really control the weight. And this is a car that feels every bit as refined, every bit as supple, every bit as comfortable and well-mannered behind the wheel as any gasoline-powered luxury car I've ever driven. And to me, that is a feat of engineering because I've driven a lot of EVs, and the next best would be the Mercedes EQS sedan and some of their EQ cars, which have air suspensions, they have adaptive dampers, and they've gone to all sorts of lengths to address the issue, and they've done a good job. But Mercedes-Benz cars tend to not have the type of driving precision and feel that a driver of a BMW has come to be used to, and this has that. So this has a level of precision and sharpness and a feeling of solid chassis that I wasn't expecting here. And it makes me love this car and how it drives because of that. All right, my dear friends, let's talk about the final chapter of where I come down on the Lucid Air. This is my very first time spending any time with any car from the Lucid brand. And when they told me I was getting this, I was already putting together my list of expectations. And what are those for this skeptical car guy? Well, it's a startup company. This is the first car they've ever designed and built. It's going to be full of quirks. It's going to be full of, they don't know how to build cars yet, problems and funny little design things that don't make sense. It's going to have quality problems. It's going to feel unfinished. It's going to, all this stuff that was in my head telling me what a startup car company was going to be delivering to me. And I was completely 120% wrong, because this is a car that is every bit as well designed, engineered. It performs, living with it every day, and all of the touch points that make it good have no relationship whatsoever to the ideas that I had of what a startup company is going to deliver. They have done an excellent job putting this car together. The fit and finish is exquisite. More important than that, we talked about this on the drive, the driving experience isn't like, oh, we just decided to build a car and it kind of works. No, this is best in class when it comes to the handling, the precision, how it feels, how it performs, and how it delivers on things like horsepower, torque, range, charging, all of the things you want it to do well. And I've tested a lot of cars. I've tested Mercedes-Benz top-end EVs, the S Sedan, the S SUV, the EQS line, the EQ line. I've tested Tesla. And this, I dare say it is better than them. I love Mercedes-Benz cars. They have their own feel, their own smell, their own way. But Mercedes-Benz EVs are essentially the same thing of any Mercedes-Benz car you've ever known, only they happen to be electric. This is a different animal. It feels precise. It belies its 5,000 pound weight. It feels like a driver's car. It feels solid and well built, going over bumps, rough roads. It never really makes you think, geez, they need to work on this a little more. Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why it's won so many awards, I think. I totally get it. Now, it's expensive though, $102,000 as tested. This model in the Air range starts out at $79,900. You could spend less going down with the Pure model. You can spend a whole lot more here going up to the fully bonkers 1,200 plus horsepower Sapphire model. Oh my God. You can get a condo or you can get the car. Here, this is the middle ground. It sounds funny to say 102 grand is the middle ground on the range, but I think this is a nice balance of everything that they offer on this car. You've got 620 horsepower is nothing to sneeze at, but if it is for you, you can get eight something, you can get 1,200 and something horsepower if you just got to go there. But 620 horsepower in this car gives me vertigo if I play with it too much. So that's where I'm at. 0 to 60 in 3.4 seconds, not bad. All right. You can do better, but it's, you know, it's a nice compromise. So I'm really impressed. I think that's where we're at here in the final synopsis. Well built, well designed. I think it feels like the money. It feels worth $102,000. And I speak from the experience of driving much more expensive cars and other cars in its class. And I just really am impressed. And I'm glad that I'm wrong about all of the things I thought I was going to experience here with this startup company, first time ever building a car experience. Because it's just not like that at all. I would totally recommend it. And in that way, it goes on my buy it list for 2026. This is our first car review of 2026. And it goes on the buy it list, which is my highest praise. I would totally buy this if I were spending this kind of money on a luxury car. And I have to tell you, I'm in my mid 50s now, and I'm starting to slow down a little bit and start to appreciate things like luxury sedans. I used to make fun of people that were getting older, right? I used to be one of those younger guys that went, oh, look at the old guy. He likes that big boat. And now I'm kind of starting to slide into that. Wow, that looks nice. And here we are. I love it. I think they've done a great job. I like it. I could totally see me cruising around town in this and giving myself vertigo once in a while just to wake myself up. So there you go for our test drive of the Lucid Air. You can see our latest video right there. Better yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel and you can do that right down there. Either way, stay tuned.